Rodney versus KFC. We swear, folks, this is going to be the last episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the People's Choice, everyone's favorite. It's the Atari ST Show with me, Amigo Aaron, and to a lesser extent, the BRENT.
How's it going? Oh, I did it! I got the thumb up!
Very good. Nice work, eh? This week on the Atari ST Show,
stuck.
what is? There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just like Young Frankenstein. I'll tell you where to stick that thumb.
Putting on the Reds!
Oh, God. This week on the Atari ST Show, the BRENT, we have spared no expense to bring you the highest quality public domain software that the I can't even get this out that the Atari ST has to offer, as we'll be sampling Rodney versus KFC.
Well, considering it was served as an appetizer, I'm glad we're just sampling.
Yeah, no kidding. So, just in case you're watching and you should be watching our lovely live video version.
Not really.
We're sitting in front of the very first Kentucky Fried Chicken. I visited this place when I was in Kentucky, going to the arcade, the pinball arcade, the museum. It's in Corbin, Kentucky, and this small cafe you see before you is the very first place that the secret recipe was ever developed by the Colonel.
Yes.
Put this thing down. Made some delicious chicken. I went into this place.
I put it like that.
I went in here. They've got a museum, and you're not watching at home, it's air quotes, which is a wall dedicated to 2 or 3 pictures from those original days, the Colonel. I also talked to a guy one time who had the Colonel and his wife live in his basement. That's a shoot. One of the people I met along my mini prison tours. And he said the Colonel was a real nice guy, real sharp dresser, as we all know.
I've heard conflicting statements about that.
I've always heard he's a real good guy. This decent. Most KFCs, of course, don't look like this. This looks like an old cottage, or something. But the funny thing is, the KFC that we're looking at is not really the KFC mentioned in the title of this game.
No.
But we'll get into that a little bit later. We wanted to talk about something that's more at the forefront of this game, and what that is ripping off other games' stuff and sticking it in your own game and it's saying, hey, here's a game.
That's it. Yeah, for those that don't know, Rodney versus KFC is it's not a solo effort, but it's a small team, first-time effort where a lot of the art, if not all of the art, was sprite swapped from other games.
Particularly Rough and Tumble from the Amiga. Including the lead character, which we'll get into that when we get into the background of this game.
And this, boy, talk about a subject I have very mixed feelings on.
Oh, yeah?
Right. I think that, first of all, to this guy's credit, or this team's credit, they never planned on making a profit off this. This was never for sale.
Good move.
This was always a look at the project I did and gave it to the people, the ST people, and freely, never tried to charge for it. It was just a thing. It was a project that they did. They had fun with it. In that regard, if you aren't trying to profit from someone else's work, especially to the extent that this was ripped off, big thumbs up. I have no problem with that. If you're going to do fan games or even just use the assets from other games just to do your own thing, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
It was pretty clear and was stated pretty clearly that this was all just him seeing if he could do it, sort of affair. And I don't expect someone to learn animation if their goal was just to see if they can program a game. Other games that have done this, I think probably, in my opinion, one of the more famous recent ones would have been the I Want to Be the Guy series, where they took assets from hundreds of games. I mean, you fight Mike Tyson from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and it's got Castlevania and Metroid and Kid Icarus, tons of your classic NES and other titles, and mushed it all together into this super hard game.
The one that comes to mind for me, this is an obvious one, it's Mugen, which they take all the different fighters and sometimes non-fighters from other fighting games, and smushed them into various wacky games. Another one, Beats of Rage, where they make their own beat-em-ups using the assets of other games. And some of those are, I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes they make their own assets and they're real nice. But these are both pretty much ran completely on ripped-off art, and which is funny to me because then the community has huge, horrible fights about who ripped off the art better and who ripped off someone else's ripped off art.
Well, that's a Mugen thing for sure, because it's such a community-driven asset. In those regards, I don't really have a problem with it, but if you're using stolen stuff to commercially produce a game, I got no love for that. That has recently come up again for Bungie's Destiny series.
Didn't it just come up for their game that was based on their old Apple release, and that someone that had used art from another artist who called him out on the table.
Yeah.
So that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm trying to name. I wish I could remember the name. It's the one that they released on the Apple back in the day. No, it's not Decathlon, but it sounds like Decathlon. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
But yeah,
someone will know.
That when you have full studios behind you that have the means to pay for that kind of stuff.
Marathon.
Decathlon.
Sorry, it just broke me up when you said that.
I got a big problem with. You're a solo developer and you want to stick some garbage into your assets. I don't got a problem if you don't plan on making a profit, but yeah.
I will say, especially back when I played the Xbox a lot, a lot of the PD stuff that appeared, of course it was probably for the PC too, would be like new Zeldas, new Castlevanias, new Mario, new this and that. And I'm like you. As long as you don't try to make a buck. In fact, I wouldn't even mind too much if they could make a couple bucks for their time, you know. But I'm crooked. That's the problem.
That's true.
You know. So.
What about remixes? People who, or like a real popular thing is, you remember the Legend of Zelda from the NES, right?
I do. Not my favorite.
Where they randomize the map.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that kind of stuff.
What if they were selling that? Were you good to go on that?
No, you couldn't sell that. No.
Well, not with Nintendo around, but like
Nintendo might copy strike us for saying the word Zelda.
Yeah, good point. But I don't know. I'm pretty liberal. It helps when you're untalented because you pretty much have to steal everything, and so what are you gonna do? But yeah, I can see where people would get annoyed if you hork their gimmick. But like, as long as you don't charge for it, I'd say the sky's the limit. How many games though have been shut down by the
lot.
Look at that. Remember that GTA game they watched? They put all those assets and stuff at high def and everything, and then like they let it slide until it was time for them to release the remake of the GTA series, which they did a horrible job of, as we all remember. And then they took those guys down. That's dirty pool, as far as I'm concerned.
It is.
The problem, here's what happened with projects like that, right? When they take these fan projects down, the fan project should just be in the underground, like in the old days.
Well, and who's to say it isn't?
Yeah, but they're like, we're formally taking it down. We're going to cease production because they're scared. Nah. Just never announce it. Just pass it around on the table. No one will know. That's the way I like to do it.
There are definitely people out there to do that. But that was not what happened today as we take a look at Rodney versus KFC.
Nice transition. Love theme.
Yeah, and I will have to say, to our knowledge, the music on this is original.
I don't know.
Oh.
I do know there was so let me go over the credits here. Maybe we can figure this. Maybe between the two of us we can figure it out here. So this is Rodney versus KFC. This came out in 2019. It's funny. 2019. It's 6 years ago as we record this. And it seems like a long time ago, but then I looked at like Indie Retro News had covered it and stuff like that. I'm like, oh yeah, I better remember when this came out. So this was completed in GFA Basic. This is a one-player game with joystick. Developer on this is credited to a guy named Padman Remakes. The guy's name's Padman, and apparently Padman's German. In case you're wondering, I don't know what Padman means over there. The graphics on this are credited to Padman. and a fellow named Robin Levy, who worked on Last Ninja 3 on the Atari ST. Now, here's the thing. I don't know these other creditings. I don't know if they're from the original versions
game.
of things or whatever. And I looked around, and I could find practically zero on this game.
Yeah.
The design, of course, Padman. The music on this is credited to Frank Seaman, who worked on a lot of PD stuff, like a lot of stuff that was like shareware. And
sure.
He also worked on a couple of budget games. The sound effects in this are credited to Richard Joseph. Richard Joseph's a huge deal. So something tells me that they credited the guy who did the original music that they horked.
Sure.
Like I said, I mentioned that this was some of the graphics in this were horked, particularly the main character from a game that me and Bo covered on Amigos called Rough and Ready. It's Rough and Ready. I get that and Rough and Tumble confused. It may be Rough and Tumble now I think about it. But it's a 1994 Amiga game, which is a really good, real fun shoot 'em up game. But I'd heard somewhere that this was maybe getting a port, but I think people got confused when this game was being made. Because I couldn't find anything that said that the Amiga game had ever gotten a port.
Nor did I.
Just a Rough and Tumble. Thank you, Porthal. That's why we always go live, so the live chat can tell us when we screw up. That way, it saves people listening at home time. So are you ready for the backstory? Because we sort of have to talk about the backstory.
You do, yes.
Oh, by the way, if you're watching at home, this is me playing. The game, because I couldn't find a decent run of this thing, and so I thought I would put my indecent one up. So the story behind this, Rodney, who's the step triplet of Rough and Rad Rogers, which are the two guys from Rough Table, has just had his disc collection nicked by the Klepto Foreign Chickens KFC gang while on his way to Dullsville Copy Party. All right, hey, I've been there. As the KFC have been terrorizing the town for way too long now, Ronnie decides to put an end to it, so he heads back to his home, grabs his anti-chicken gun, and runs to the KFC hideout. Once arrived at the location, he notices that he's only got 5 minutes and 30 seconds left until the bus departing for Dullsville. He needs to find and fry all the chicken gang fast, and he also needs to get all of his discs back in time. That's the premise of this game. So the KFC in this stands for the Klepto Foreign Chickens. Now, to run this game, and who wouldn't want to, you're going to need a 1 meg in your Atari ST and TOS 1 to 2.6. Let's talk about the backstory of this before we get too far into the game. What do you think of the backstory of this?
Well, here's the thing for this type of game, right?
Yeah.
Graphics are ripped off.
Yeah.
The music, we're assuming, is probably ripped off, maybe original.
It's pretty good.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But so what you have to really guide this game off of is gameplay and story.
Yeah.
The story's crap.
Well,
okay.
Okay. Now hold on a second here.
All right.
I can relate to this story, and I'm going to explain why.
Okay.
So this is a stretch. I'll grant you.
Okay. No. I want to hear this. Tell me about the time you're going to a copy party, got robbed, and then shot a bunch of things.
Hold on a second. I went to a copy party one time at the Huntington Mall.
Okay.
Okay. And it was in a Long John Silver's where they do serve chicken, right? And I did have some discs ripped off that night. Now, by some chickens who were scared to face me. They were chickens. Now, if I'd had a gun, I would have shot them to the tune, to the smooth tunes of this sort of music. So I can understand. And also, I was a strapping young lad with blonde hair.
With long flowing blonde hair.
Mention that. But no, that is true. I did go to a copy party at a Long John Silver's at the mall. This is one Chad put together. And so I will say they accommodated us. We phoned ahead of time, and we got half the restaurant, and we brought our computers in there. That's a shoot. I wish I had pictures of that. It was different back in the 80s.
Yes,
That's all I can tell you, 90s in this case. So, yes, this story, there is some validity to it. Go ahead.
Oh, man. Okay, so the story in this is just fluff. It gives the reason for it to be chickens and to use KFC as a head jerker when you see the title.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine with all that.
It is head jerking.
But
I agree with that.
let's be honest, it's just crap. It's fine for what this is.
Brent's
it's
crapping
fine.
all over the title, everybody.
It's fine.
Go ahead.
What else is there to say? There's not much to say. I want to get into the meat and potatoes of this, Aaron, or I guess the
there is no side dish. I can tell you that right now.
The mashed potatoes and the gravy.
Yeah.
What you have here is a competent adventure game where it's one level. Your goal is to collect all the discs, which I believe there are 99,
Yep.
and kill all the enemies, for which there are 20. The level on this is large enough without being so large it's unnavigatable.
I've memorized the majority of the level.
Yeah. And you have to if you actually want to try to collect everything.
Well, also, you really don't have any choice. There's nowhere else to go.
So you have a health bar. If you run to the chickens, you will lose health, but that is never.
I'm not sure I ever took a hit in this game.
That is never a concern because the enemies are huge, fat, slow chickens that walk at you, or an occasional flying mutant green chicken.
I thought that was like a parrot.
Well, I would assume it's a chicken, but
Something tells me it was a parrot in some other game, and now it's a chicken. That's my guess.
So that is not the challenge of the game. The challenge of the game is to find the path that's going to let you collect all the discs and kill all the enemies in the 5.5 minutes allotted. I got very close at this.
Really?
I got 18 enemies killed and 89 discs collected.
Wow, you did better than me. The most I could get was 67.
And the reason why I tried right before this show to get a flawless run, there are a couple sections where you have to blind drop down, and if you don't drop on the right platform...
you can't get back up there.
Right. There are a few places where you can't get up. Mechanics speaking, the game scrolls slow, but it does scroll nicely.
It moves slow.
The character animations are nice. Everything is a large sprite.
Yeah.
When you are running and jumping, this game's little claim to fame or a little catch is you think you can jump up onto a platform, but you're just ever so shy of actually making it onto the platform if you run and jump on it.
Right.
If you are standing underneath the platform and jump straight up, you will actually go through the platform and land on it.
See, that claim to fame is no good.
I didn't say
that's a bad claim to fame.
I didn't say it was good. I said that's the
that
main
irritated
pitch.
me early on because I was like, because I spent a good amount of time trying to jump up on the platform. I'm thinking to myself, you're telling me I could jump straight up better than I could run and jump?
Yeah. It's a weird choice. It makes
yes, indeed.
But this game was never meant to hold your attention for more than an hour, which is good because it didn't. The first time you play, you might collect half the disc and kill half the enemies, and then you see, okay, I understand that this is an exploration game. Let's try going up here. Let's try making this jump.
Yeah.
The most dangerous part of the game is there is a place over top of lava where you will crumble
I'm not sure I
away.
ever saw that. I don't remember seeing that.
Well, there is.
That's why I didn't get me disc, clearly.
There's a place where you go over lava where the platforms are every other jumpable space.
Yeah.
And you will either crumble them away or fall in the lava. And the lava doesn't instantly kill you, but it generates your health pretty rapidly. And you have to go over it, collect a bunch of stuff, kill some things, and then go back. That is really the difficult part of the game. That's the only part really that you're ever going to die unless you just run out of time exploring.
Now there's a door you could leave.
Yes.
Did you when you got your disc, did you go to the door?
Yeah.
That's what I did.
In fact,
I always
outside of dying in the lava,
yeah,
which I did do several times, mainly because I was trying to go faster than I should have. The clock in this is very, very tight. it gives you enough time that you can slop up a couple jumps, but if you ever go the wrong way, figure it out and then go back, you are not going to have enough time.
Or if you screw around trying to make a jump for too long.
Right.
So I think that's a pretty good assessment of the basics of the game.
Sure.
We were talking about, here is some behind the scenes stuff just to give this game some, because I did manage to get the credits of this game and get a look at them. I mentioned it was coded in GFA Basic. That's GFA Basic 3.5. So they did make more of this than I guess what I would have thought, according to what they've got written up here. So they did do sprite work, and that was from a guy named T.A. King. Some of the games, it said some of the graphics were converted from the Renegade game, Rough and Tumble, which we knew that, and an unreleased game, Miss Honeybee and the Shock of Magic, another Amiga title, which I've never heard of. It's unreleased. And the sound samples, among other things, were taken from another Renegade game, Magic Pockets, and Magic Boy by Empire Software. So that explains where they got that stuff. So that does shed some light into the game. In terms of the actual, so now that we know where most of this game came from, is the game fun? Well, I'll step in if I may.
I'll let you take the lead.
The game is slow. That's for sure. It could have, if it ran maybe 30% quicker, that would help. But that doesn't mean it's not playably. It still works okay, but it's slow. The game is an incomplete game in that there's only one level, and once the timer runs out, that's in the game. So, I mean, it's a timed game. I don't know if they'd ever plan to do anything else aside from this, and that information isn't listed, but I assume this, like you said, it's a concept of a game. Well, that said, it's a challenging game. You can have fun. I've played, this is nowhere near the worst thing we played on the Atari ST Show. I can tell you that right now, because let's pretend that we never heard of these other games. Okay? If you were to look at this game, you'd think to yourself, man, look how detailed that graphic is, and he looks good. His hair moves in the breeze. He's got a cool gun. The chickens are comedic and fat, but they look okay. How could they steal these computer discs? That's another question. The discs are multicolored. The castle looks cool. I mean, it's fine. It looks like perfectly acceptable for any game. Now, I will say the kid's gun, the bullets suck. It's this big, awesome gun. In the other game, it shoots stuff like Magic Slug style. In this, it shoots like the tiniest pixel comes out of it. So that stinks. But as a game, as a 5-minute demo, there's fun to be had. This is a game you'll load up once in your entire life, or if you have a buddy over and you want to think that's funny, you would load it up. You would never pay for it. You couldn't because they just got to get sued. But I mean, I think this is okay. I mean, I'm not going to kill it. You know, it's not bad, but I don't know. What do you think of this? Where do you put this thing?
I don't. I know you say that you feel like the game is too slow.
Yeah.
I feel like the game, if it had more excitement, it would not feel slow. In the entire game, you have 20 enemies.
Yeah.
And the enemies aren't attacking you. You are finding them and killing them.
Yeah.
So this is a very Rambo-esque situation. You're never in danger of dying, which is fine for the type of game it is because it's actually an exploring game where you are trying to find the speedrunniest path to get everything and get out. But
speedrunniest?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
But there are tons of times when you are simply walking and there's nothing going on. That's my biggest gripe on the game. If there was something to do between point A and point B, even if you had to kill 50 enemies and they just put 30 more enemies in the game for you to shoot, that would be fine. But when you are just walking on a platform for 10 seconds to get from one point to another, I think that's what makes it feel slow. I mean, it does run and animate slightly slow, but I think it's fine. I wouldn't even knock it for that. End of the day, I'm not going to play this ever again.
You know, they could have, I'm with you, but they could have actually, even given the bones they've got now, they could have made this more fun, including what you said. But what about, like you said, an enemy that can actually hurt you? How about just simply something that gives you more time? Wouldn't have hurt. I mean, a little more time. Would have been nice. You could have. There's the bones of a game here.
Here's the thing. I lost because of time.
Yeah.
In some places, but I never lost because my clock ran out. I lost because I went from one platform to another and knew I could never get back up onto that platform with the time I had.
Well, there would have to be some level tweaking as well. But I'd like to see. You could have made like. This thing's ripe for like secret passages, secret traps. Like there's something here. The fact that they were using GT Basic on this, I mean, I think it's quite a wonderment that they pulled it off. It's just that this is nothing. This is a proof of concept, and not a game.
Yeah.
And this is a show where normally we try to review full completed games.
That's true.
But this was chosen by the game selection committee. I'm going to throw them on the bus for picking this. Sorry. But I don't think any of them really knew what this was when they picked it.
Well,
and so it's an incomplete game.
But that's the thing. That's fine because it's our job to get in there and let them know what it is.
Yeah.
I agree. This is fine for what it is, but it's also nothing. I think the dude that put this together did an excellent job.
Yeah.
I think that if he ever went back and fleshed it out, if he ever did another project, I would definitely be interested. I think what's here is fine. And I would like to see how deep he could take this in a design perspective. At the end of the day, did I ever perfect the game? No. Do I feel compelled to do that? No. I did try. I did feel compelled enough to try one more time before the show started.
Yeah.
So it's got something. It has some kind of draw.
Yeah, I would like to perfect the game. And then that way, it's a lot like when I beat Crap Man. Like, I don't want to go play Crap Man. And I cheated to get as far as I did in Crap Man. But I can say that I've seen every level, and I never have to pick up Crap Man ever again.
Right. And
this is like Crap Man.
But this is better than Crap Man.
Well, I don't know. Crap Man was a complete game.
Well, it was a complete
cheap.
Something.
It was a cheap game. Crap Man had 100 levels. This has part of one level. So no. As much as I didn't like Crap Man, I'm going to say Crap Man's got the edge.
This is definitely a full level. Aaron, did anyone from the community dare to check this out?
I was just checking it because I thought, there's no reason to look. But amazingly, Pajako somehow from the time played Rodney versus KFC. This is going to be a difficult one to judge, he says, so bear with me. In the grand scheme of game design, it's not that great. It has borrowed assets from a couple of titles, and it is exactly nippy in terms of its frame rate. But it was written in GFA Basic, so not on bare metal. The tune is really good. Is this from another game? I genuinely don't know. We're not sure either.
We're not sure either.
The game gameplay isn't much more than you would get in something like Jet Set Willie. Collect all the things to win the game. Only now Willie has a gun and he's taking out chickens like there is a bird flu epidemic. Again, I will say, this is exponentially simpler than Jet Set Willie in every conceivable way.
Yeah.
But that said, apart from the too short time limit, I actually kind of like this one. It's one evening.
Of course, Pajako does.
It's a one evening game, pick up and play and never go back game. Basically, an 8-bit game dressed up in a real pretty like for a 16-bit system, and is nice and simple to play. Not the greatest game ever, but I also didn't want to hurl my controller to the TV, so it wins for that reason.
That's true.
And only Pajako would award Rodney versus KFC an 8 out of 10. Let me tell you something. That man is a saint among men when it comes to giving game scores out. 8 out of 10.
I know you've lured a lot of souls to hell, but you know what? 6 out of 10, buddy.
You're okay. You're okay in Pajako's book, that's for sure. Clearly no reviews on this one. In fact, even its entry at the website that covered its initial release has no comments. So there wasn't much to glean from reading anything. But I think Pajako pretty much said what we did, except for that score. It's a decent looking. It's an admirable effort.
It plays well,
but it's No.
It
plays okay.
I mean, control-wise.
No, well would be fast.
Control-wise.
With multiple levels.
Control-wise.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. I mean, so we're really judging on an ultra curve, is what you're saying on this one.
Aaron, what I want to know is, would you rather play this or, say, Lionheart?
Well, I think you know the answer to that one, the Brent. You know, as we move out of this one, let's never speak of that one again, the Brent. It's funny, we've been doing it. You've been on the Atari ST Show now for about a year.
Way more than that, Aaron.
I can't remember.
Way more than that.
You know, we've played some real ding-dong games on this show over the years. And this is another one. This is the kind of game that we end up playing on the Atari ST. These weird little wacky games. So I'm hoping next week, Brent, we're going to have a game we can sink our teeth into. Are you excited to see what's up next for the Atari ST Show?
Hit us with it.
You asked for it. Here we go. Next time out.
Dramatic pause.
Well, try to read what that motor massacre. It's Motor Massacre. My God. How can they move any boxes? Who can read what that says?
Give me the game with that lettering on it.
Motor Massacre. Well, that sounds okay.
Well,
this is how they get me every time. I think I said the same thing about the last one. It sounds okay, though, but I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Why don't you tell the people what's up this weekend on ARG Presents the Brent, if you could remember what's up this weekend.
You mean the next game the next subject that we're covering?
Yeah, it's ARG Presents this week. What is it? You don't remember, do you?
Motor Mayhem?
No, that's the Atari ST Show, you dim bulb. It's overhyped, overblown, expensive game.
Motor Mayhem.
No, we don't know that. It could be great. That's going to be coming up. That'll be coming up. Actually, it'll be June 1st. It'll be ARG Presents this weekend, June 1st, and that'll be released next week. The next time we will be doing the Atari ST Show, holy smokes, it's way into the future. It'll be sometime mid-July. It's a TBA right now. Next, we've got Boat Fest stuck in there, so we'll have to figure out how that goes. But Motor Massacre, so we've got plenty of time to crank that up. I'm looking forward to playing a proper real game. I'm hoping that this is the one. Now, I don't want to be down on the Atari ST. Just, man, we've had some ups and downs with this machine over the years. You know, it's been
Aaron, now see, that's not fair. I'm impressed by the ST.
Okay, go ahead.
When you think you've hit bottom, there's somehow more to go.
Oh, would you stop?
No, the ST has got plenty of stuff out there.
Here's the disclaimer, everyone.
It's just finding the unique to ST stuff that's difficult.
Like the thing we just played?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And with that, another Atari ST draws to a close. We will be back again this coming week. The ARG Presents. We hope you will join us. So we hope you had a pleasant holiday weekend, and we will see you next time. Until then, make sure you play
Rodney versus KFC today.
No, hold on, stop. Ignore that. Just play something on your Atari. Have a good week, everyone.